than ever before. And I will guide our discussion through a few key questions, and we will also leave a few minutes to the end of the final platform. So joining us today are Alex, Investment Discovery for YZi Labs, Lynn, Foundation Director at P2 Protocol, and Sean, Agentic Science Lead at Bio Protocol, and very sadly, Joshua from DeSci World could not make it to Dubai today. So, guys, welcome. Give them a round of applause. Thank you for coming. Feel free to do a brief introduction.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex. I'm an investor with YZi Labs. We've been quite active as of recent in the DeSci space as well as the Decentralized AI space. Actually, Bio Protocol is a full company car, so great to see you.
Good to see you. I am Lane from Head Protocol. We are an intersubjective attribution layer onboarding assets, bring AI to science. So this is what we do. And comparing Bio Protocol, our focus is more about infra and the tech, and we definitely have our community too, our community. We look forward to share more about everybody. Thank you.
And I'm Sean Brennan. I'm the lead of Agentic Science at Bio Protocol. I started in the space of DeFi with MakerDAO years ago and worked at Consensus. And when agents came out in the past 2 years, I've been playing with different applications of agents. And I joined Bio 5 months ago to basically see what I can do with science. So basically put them to research tasks, discrete knowledge work tasks. And I'll talk about that today. Thank you.
Awesome, guys. So to start off, let's look where we are today. So Alex and Lin, how is AI currently transforming scientific discovery within decentralized systems? What do you guys think?
I can tell about science, about DeSci. So decentralized science has been the sector that Head Protocol has been running and doing. There's 2 or 3 advancements I would like to share. The first is the causality graph, the foundation for our infra. This advancement that we achieved enable every paper, every research paper that you as a researcher publish, any citation or any impact, you will get a reward. And this is number 1. Number 2 is about model graph. Right now we are running AI agent. AI agent become very popular. And model graph enable AI agent running like DAOs. So it's a combination of AI's intelligence. The third advancement is about our AI for Science OS. This enable the solution can be made to big institutions or governments, for example, share healthcare data in the entire Indonesia. So right now we are collaborating with them to see if we can make cover 90% of the cost of the research for pharmaceutical and Medicare. Thank you.
I think we were a bit about the AI part, which is, I think it's quite obvious that over the past 2-3 years there's been a fundamental change in how things are done using large language models, large vision models, all sorts of combination of those, and that also applies to science. So obviously within the remit of DeSci, we're trying to marry 2 things, which is a way to raise capital to form really crazy, interesting ideas. We're doing science, which has been, for the most part, very conservative approach to actually doing that. Now we have the third pillar, which is AI. So all of those come together in a very seamless, very easy way. And that's all to do with the way that we as a lot of uptake in trying to use with various level of success, AI technology to science, decentralized science, and then apply some sort of like crypto, let's say like fundamental fundraising experience. I think so far we're still at the very first initial step of this. As we go ahead, we are really looking to see a lot of killer applications that come off of this. And I think there's no better time than right now, because essentially even 2-3 years ago, this would not have been possible.
And then, as I said, the three pillars, I put it as scientific, there's AI and blockchain, and by extension, DeFi and Infra. And I was at an event last week in San Francisco put on by Compound VC, where it's mainly, there's no blockchain represented there. It's just kind of like how Web2 science, Silicon Valley science is basically forging ahead. And there's talks by Berkeley, Stanford, Genentech, Google, and they shared their results with their experiments with AIs like New Science, and they had extremely promising results with it. Basically, make this a core part of their workflows, either in research labs at Stanford or with Google. And I think the question we have to ask, and there are good answers, but what do we add with blockchain to what they're doing? And I think there's things like scaling, tokenization, incentives. I think that's the main question we should be asking.
I'm glad you're the last person who speaks, because my next question is for you. Sean, could you share a success story of an AI-driven decentralized science project that you've been part of? Maybe something that really shows the potential of this revolution.
Yeah, it's in the early stages, but we have BioProtocol is a DAO DAOs. We basically have 14 sub-DAOs within us that are each doing frontier research projects, and there's some amazing results, both on the operations side, where we help Web2 researchers raise money and pursue their research, and also on the scientific side, where there's basically putting into practice agents that can help with discrete steps of the scientific process. Right now, that's in analyzing papers, adding to a knowledge graph, traversing a knowledge graph, and basically forcing an insight from that knowledge graph. And so there's two DAOs are SpineDAO and MakerDAO are doing really interesting things. Where for SpineDAO, the AI is basically a filter where it's helping with clinical evaluation and advice, where it's saving people a trip to the emergency room and they can just basically get the results they need through AI. And I can talk a bit more about a few more examples later, but that's the start.
Can I also hear this from Brennan? Could you also share some success story of the AI-driven DeSci project that you've been working with or working for?
Yeah. So what Cheryl just shared is about BioProtocol, about DAO and DAOs, how it works. But I was actually quite interested in their new project called Cure Utopia. That's one of it, one of the projects. And in the whole protocol, we are currently more focused on working with big data. Like, for example, as much data as possible, Indonesia healthcare medical institutions. We try to get all the entire nation's data. So right now, what we do is two projects with two technologies. One is AI for Science and OS, the infrastructure that we can enable each AI agent running as a silo. So patients can share their data, but not keep their privacy. So there's clear boundaries between training the data, share the data, and clear boundary about how to use the data. So in that case, more and more patients will be willing to provide their data. That will be very beneficial for rare disease. For example, chronoperinodal symptosis. For example, right now, for example, a 15-year-old boy in Indonesia, in Jakarta, can contribute a intracranial synthesis. And right now, this project is ongoing, and very, very soon we are going to see good outcome, which I hope 90% of the cost of this type of research can be started. So this is one success story that I would like to share. That's very promising.
That's amazing. But also, I was wondering if you could touch base on maybe the challenges that you faced going through this project. Have you, from your perspective, maybe what are the primary technical or maybe even ethical type of challenges that you faced when you're doing this project, and also currently ongoing, right?
I can also continue with this specific story. We definitely have challenges. Let's break into three pieces. First, like the privacy, and then the ethical, and also accountability for the data. Privacy, as I said, how we make sure the contributor of the data, each patient or each hospital, they have their privacy secured. That is, we find a solution that is modeled down, enable each hospital or each research group running their own AI agent. So the exchange useful data, for example, the specific diagnosed data or samples, they just save. You don't have to share the specific information for each patient. This is how we solve it. It's no longer a challenge now, but previously it was a challenge. The second would be about accountability. How can we make sure the data that we collect or we train is accountable? We enable use causal graph to make sure if later this data is cited and it leads to a good result, then it's impactful and this is accountable data. Otherwise, we don't have to take it. It's given. This is one challenge, but still we are improving it. The last is about ethical part. Ethically, due to the culture difference, or let's say in Africa, we distinguish different. There's one way that's language. Different region, different country, they speak their own language. While we provide data, they use specific language. We make sure they get protected within their own group. This is one potential solution we foresee. Thank you.
Thank you. Alex, also, what the projects that you've worked on, how is DeSci world addressing issues like you said, data privacy and also AI biases, or maybe even blockchain scalability? Have those challenges have occurred in any way when you are doing your projects?
I think actually Sean mentioned a couple of pieces of the blockchain technology that solve some of those issues. So ZK, we have some other interesting microprocessor-based solutions, which are very nascent, very slow, but they're very promising. Like fully homomorphic encryption. Yeah, is that better? Okay, cool. So yeah, the ZK technology, I think, is starting to show very promising results right now. How you solve some of the privacy enabling solutions to the problems that you mentioned about how do you secure the data keeping it private, but also actually making it very useful to be processed at scale, and also compliant with existing regulations, but also non-existing but still very important ethical standards. So, for example, you mentioned about medical data. This is super sensitive stuff. Like in sort of traditional science, it's very hard. You need to go through a lot of approvals, even to start actually touching the medical data. Like HIPAA compliance is a big topic. There's multiple ways that people try to solve it in blockchain using a combination of ZK, TE, execution environment, and also AI. So you might be able to like obfuscate or anonymize the data, try to sort of use it to some extent, then kind of throw it into a team environment and then process it there, and then apply the ZK overlay to that in order for it to pass it on to the next use case or application. So I would say that there is very interesting approaches. I don't think any of them has been proven to be fully working at scale, just because we have not seen an application that requires that level of scale. Within the limitations that we have right now, I think we've kind of solved it. Let's see if it works at scale.
Would you guys like to add on anything, Sean?
Yeah, I think working at scale is planning for agents that do science is what we have to do now. Like right now, I don't know if you guys have seen, but like agents are trying to get to like the workshop level of publishing papers, where it's a lower tier than like publishing at a conference, but they're there right now, and that's actually prior to like OpenAI's O3 model coming out and testing their lab. So planning for the near future, where as soon as you have one agent that can do science, like if you give that to a lab, also how about two agents? Why not just run two at once? How about 10, 100, 1,000? And planning for that scale is part of what we're doing at Bio, because the one two companies I mentioned are actually great for working open source for the most part. Google's not, but others are. And so we kind of draft off the open source AI science part of it, and planning for the future where there's going to be a market for free AI agents that are able to accept research tasks and those done. And the biotech is going to have an instrumental part of that. And I also think like using that's as a way to stack up research advances.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for this.
Yeah, like as I call like the throughput of plot agents, like really it's the fleet of agents down the page and start to just flood like way more than humans can comprehend. Like how do you know which hypotheses are valid, which are not, like how strong they are, and by testing them and layering them, like these are proven, these are successful, and what engineering actually is very interesting.
Can definitely be the strong backbone support for the infra if bio protocol needed. We can just test it, we have tested mainnet launching. So play everybody. Just play on our testing.
That's great. So another critical dimensions what we have is inclusivity. So I'm wondering if Ling, you could talk about how can the DeSci movement ensures the researchers from underrepresented regions or disciplines and like can they participate in type of form? What happens if they're underrepresented?
So this question is about accessibility and interoperability is the secondary, I guess. Okay. This is a very good question. This is what I personally is working on. Right now, this trip I made it to Dubai. One of the main reasons is talking with the government. We start from the academia part as it's easier to collect the data. And for those regions with not strong in most Southeast Asia and in Africa, their data is not as accessible. And so we try to cooperate with the local institutions. And if we want to contribute, we just take the consent about the consent. So to drop all the concerns about the consent. And for the other part, like we are developing we call it agent chain. On top of this agent chain, and anybody who, for example, I am a mother of a kid who have rare disease, and I even can log into this app to just provide certain data, like the keeping track of this rare disease of my kid just reported anonymously. This is how it can be accessed by those regions that is under development. Please add more, you
I
guys.
think that's how like AI would play like a supporting in greater accessibility and
Yeah, for part accessibility, part marketing, we want to reach all these Web3 researchers that are in labs, colleges, and so we're developing a new front end, like a new portal to like onboard people, which will make it very accessible in different languages, but we want to be the easiest way for someone with a research idea, whether it's a lab or a passionate individual, to raise money. And so we found one example is with long COVID labs, where a person who was a virologist, expert in the field of virology, actually had long COVID and had a passion for curing it, and so he cured it himself and now has a DAO around researching it and sharing it. And so yeah, we're trying to spread the word and show that DeSci and both Solana, Mainnet, and now Base are all ways that you can launch a DAO and fund a research idea. If anyone in the audience has a friend in the sciences, a friend in the research lab, or yourself, Bioprotocol is a way to get funding for that research idea.
I think like accessibility is with these three pillars that we mentioned at the beginning, like blockchain and AI is quite accessible to pretty much anyone in the world that has access to internet. So it really boils down to like having a smartphone and a connection, pretty reliable connection to the internet. And if you have those, you can start participating in protocols like Bio and the multitude of different initiatives they have. So I think we can already be quite confident that to some degree accessibility has been solved by default because these technologies are sort of they don't discriminate. If you have access, you have access. You can connect. OpenAI, for example, ChatGPT was one of the fastest growing technologies in terms of adoption. Blockchain, likewise, it has an innate feature of being borderless, so you can just set up a wallet and start getting involved in some of these protocols and straight up over that. With science, I think, and this is where decentralized science, like historical science, hasn't been as accessible. It were concentrated in hubs of research that were mostly concentrated in the US, perhaps Europe, some parts of Asia as well. But again, decentralized science is trying to completely change that by offering a very neutral platform to anyone who has interest and the motivation. There's all the right tools to start participating.
I actually do agree. I need to add a little bit. So actually, I was doing some research about this, about accessibility and how people participate. The first is for the developer. For example, we can enable low-code AI, meaning that in those regions they have low bandwidth. Especially in Africa, some countries, they can easily code by using SMS, like messenger, promote. Then they can participate in the code. This is from a technical perspective. I talked with our engineer. The second about is for different regions, the AI agent model, AI model, they can automatically translate into their local language. It's no longer an issue. So that this provides the wider the accessibility. And the last is about how big impact. We are humans, and humans need incentive. The brain, this is how the brain constructs. So tokenization, this crypto or blockchain technology enable the incentive game play so that people can really participate. So if AI only serves the privileged group or then decentralization will fail. So we would definitely not work to that. So this is our solution. Thank you.
Thank you guys for sharing. And now if we're looking on the business side of things, so Alex and Amy, are you familiar with any economic models emerging with sustained AI-driven DeSci projects?
Yes. I am the foundation director, so I'm responsible for the tokenomics. We have been test different model. So far we haven't really set everything in stone. However, there is one that I do agree with. That is, we separate the on-chain and off-chain, meaning that we have more than one token. So that will lead to any science research or patent. It's an old word. Will no longer a corporate secret. It is a shared science. So everybody can contribute, and this science, this topic is known, and people is familiar with this, so it becomes shared, and everybody would like to contribute. So this tokenomic design fits that.
Yeah, I think the beauty of having protocols like Bio and the underlying infrastructure that you're building, obviously, is capital formation. Before it was very hard to actually come up with some crazy, like non-conventional scientific hypothesis and idea. You could go on and try to fundraise for that. Unless it fits like very well, like almost perfectly into a research vertical of a particular university, it would be very hard to actually fundraise. Or you are a wealthy person that is a bit more eccentric, so you can allocate capital doing it that way. I guess that's something that we've also seen work in the past. Now, you could post this, come up with a proposal, go to a protocol like Bio, try to galvanize some sort of interest, and then if there's enough interest, there's more crazy people like you can start raising it. You can actually start testing and actually doing some proper research that would be incredibly difficult to achieve otherwise. Likewise, what happens after this is just the initial step. Imagine you go into a drug discovery journey, spend a lot of time, and you eventually are successful, you find a new drug. How do you actually benefit from it? Again, in the past it was very one-directional. There was a very templated approach to doing this stuff. Right now, we don't actually know that yet, but the idea is that all of the people that were participating in this shared economy would actually be they will benefit from it. And that's even better because once we start this cycle, this virtuous cycle, you get one thing done, then it's successful, then it's benefits a multitude of people, then they would be more incentivized to go and bring back that capital, and then you start this flywheel which should fundamentally change how we actually do science. That's the goal.
Yeah, I totally agree. Most of the people in this room here might have heard of folding at home, or Google's program called AlphaFold. Now it's in its third iteration. The second iteration, AlphaFold 2, actually won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry last year. And they, over the years, they got 2 million people. Through Google's reach, they got 2 million people to donate their computer time. So if you had an idle computer, you could set it to doing protein folding solutions and start contributing. But that was all pro bono. That was all just donation based. And so what I'm asking is with crypto, with Bio and incentives, how do you get people to run agents on their local devices? And then once we do have fleet of agents, how do we we can use tokens for payments to that agent fleet to allow people to insert tasks. So if we have 10,000 agents running, people could pay the Bio token to insert tasks into that research fleet, get there and run like that. And that's a synopsis of how we're thinking about it.
Thank you guys for sharing. So before we close, I would love to end on a more of a personal note. So what inspires you guys to work at the intersection of AI and decentralized science? And what advice would you give to young folks or builders who want to get involved in the future?
I'm here because, like, once we have agents that can think, the main question is what problems you set them to. And like, it's useful to set them to DeFi problems, managing your portfolio. It's useful to have them be a travel agent. But probably the most useful thing for humanity is to put them to longevity, to problems facing our world. And that's putting into science. And so creating agents that can do science seems like the most cool work we could be doing. And there's a lot of people, if you're both in the room or anyone really, there's now open source code out there, there's different teams doing it, and excited to be working in the field.
So for the future of DeSci or DAI, I wish I would see, or what I can contribute is more and more institutions and government would be involved with this revolution. For example, especially the medical sector, because it's related to humans, our longevity. And for example, ocean and climate change, and if we can join us, it would be even better. We hope we can cut costs by using AI for 90%, hopefully. And for my words to people downstairs listening and viewers, please join this wave and test out Goldman's testnet and play with it, because it's you can launch your own AI agent. Just play with it, and we will you'll get rewarded. Any patent or anything that you created later in the future, maybe in 10 years, 20 years, if it is getting attention, you will get benefit from it. Yes.
Yeah, I would summarize in 2 words. So one is impact. Big impact in this, if we're proven right and we get something that is going to work, the impact of that is going to be tremendous. So I love the idea of actually participating, even at the individual level, to something that can have a huge impact. And then second is the upside, and that's more from an investment perspective. Again, we make sort of bets on how the future is going to unfold. If we're right, the upside is great as well. So in summary, I'll say that for builders, and subscribe to the same words, go out, test the technologies that are there. There's a lot of great teams that are building infrastructure for builders to kind of speed up their and make their developer experience as seamless as possible. For users, go try out, go to bio.xyz, check it out, see if there's any interesting stuff that you want to participate in as an individual contributor. And then for investors, I think it's about time that you start thinking very deeply about allocating even a fraction of capital to this very risky but highly rewarding, with huge upside in DeSci.
Thank you to our amazing speakers for sharing your work and visions with us today. Let's give them a round of applause. And AI and DeSci are opening new frontiers to discovery, and we're just getting started. And also, thank you everyone for joining today, and enjoy the rest of the Scaling DAI Summit.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One video.